What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and depending on what month it is, the narrative around the Lord of the Rings seems to change from, the perennial once a year articles that get brought up on how J.R.R. Tolkien was just a terrible person because orcs are bad and they're darkly colored, so therefore it's an allegory about black folks, to any number of insane claims about Ian McKellen. I can't keep up with it. From what I understand, how I understand Tolkien, the author, is he wasn't a huge fan of allegory, and that the things that he wrote were pretty much at face value. But now, apparently, we've gone so far around the circle that Tolkien is described as being woke. This fight abounding in the comics and a couple other sources I'm going to go over here because they even tried to pick a fight with me. It didn't end well for them. Look, the One Ring.net wrote, "Listen, we've been dealing with phobic comments for decades and it's still wrong. Whatever toxic arguments are being said now about Lord of the Ring fandom and adaptations is still the same trash that said Ian McKellen was the worst affront to Tolkien's legacy ever." Who the hell said that? Who is saying that? This is like one of the most hilarious strawmen ever. Are you like retroactively going back and creating this fake outrage? Nobody had a problem with Ian McKellen that I can remember. I remember seeing these movies in the theaters multiple times each, and I never heard anyone say anything about Ian McKellen. They go on to write, "Cognate, respectful debate on Tolkien is always welcome, but phobic, misogynistic trash is always what case for banning. It's not what Tolkien fandom is, wants, or welcomes." I'm sorry, you speak for the fandom? Well, we don't want your garbage takes. We used to be able to ban in an area of message boards and IRC, but in the area of social media, the platforms can't keep toxicity out of our community. We can mute and block, but that's only for accounts feed. Twitter's not a community simply because it lacks anti-troll tools. Nasty people still show up on the replies because their toxic friend subtweeted us. If you still think Ian McKellen is the worst, that Catholic Tolkien would have never approved, I beg you to read more of Tolkien's books and letters. He was woke. He was woke, huh? Stood against hate, embraced all cultures in life and fiction. It's why his books are translated in every language. He was woke? I mean, look, I'm not going to say he wasn't, but I'd like to see your evidence for he was, other than just, dude, trust me. If you think Ian McKellen gets a pass, but whatever Amazon is doing is a disgrace to Tolkien, please think more on your personal bias before tweeting. Our block button is very active, and if you retweet or enable toxic voices in the name of free speech, then you do not love Tolkien. Gatekeep more. Hashtag Pride gives us some of the greatest performances beyond all expectations. What? What? Here's a look at the replies. "I can't remember a single person that complained about Sir Ian's casting, but all right, I guess. Because those toxic opinions were rendered mute when his performance exceeded all. Same will happen with this beautiful cast of Amazon's Lord of the Rings." Amazon's Lord of the Rings will be an abomination. I am absolutely sure of that. If you're a fan of Tolkien, I would strongly recommend not getting excited for it. I love how this is a giant thread of "no one said ever." This is more of a fantasy read than Lord of the Rings. Gandalf is one of the most beloved characters to ever appear on the big screen, and McKellen's orientation was and still is simply irrelevant to that masterful performance. Read everything I could get my hands on when those came out. Never saw a whiff of these comments. Yeah, they're making it up. They're making it up for pride clout. Who said that? Is there screenshots of this? Is it just 3 tweets with a combined follower of 7, or 1 YouTube guy you had to dig for? I've been a friend of Lord of the Rings since the books, and no one has ever, I've never seen anyone talk poorly of Sir Ian McKellen. They're basically just using Ian McKellen's gayness and pride for clout to make up that he was like disliked by the community. Everybody loved Gandalf. Are you joking? How about this one with 700 likes? "I literally had no idea Ian McKellen was even gay because it doesn't matter. People need to start worrying more about putting out a good product and less about political BS. Is there's one thing that shouldn't be injected into Tolkien's Lord of the Rings? It's 2021 politics." Ian McKellen was the worst affront to Tolkien's legacy ever. Who said that exactly? Everyone loves the guy, and everyone supported him when they saw him in Pride events for literal decades. I mean, what? No, they're just making this up. McKellen admits that Lord of the Rings was the cause of his stardom, even suggesting that his openness was the reason he was giving his major roles. Since I came out, I keep getting all these parts, and my career's taken off. Oops. Ian McKellen came out in 1988. He was 50 years old. Lord of the Rings films were released from 2001 until 2093. 93. Well over a decade after that. That's more than a decade. It's practically 20 years. No, they're just making this up. It's hilarious to me. And then here's the article. Wait, where's this? Here. The website appears to have some kind of connection to Amazon Studios' current Lord of the Rings TV production series, given that they were the first to receive and publish the official synopsis of the show back in January. Regardless, they took to Twitter, where they began a thread condemning phobic comments. They wrote, "Listen, we've been dealing with these comments." Already read that. They followed that up, writing other garbage and more garbage and more garbage and more garbage. Finally, they concluding about Pride. It's unclear what the One Ring is specifically taking issue with, other than it has something to do with Ian McKellen and Amazon production and alleged comments made about them. As you can see above, they don't actually provide any proof. As far as Tolkien being woke, one has to wonder what kind of definition of woke the One Ring is using, because Tolkien is probably the furthest from, quote, woke as you can get from being a devout Catholic. To elucidate this point, Bishop Robert Barron of the Archdiocese of LA describes wokeism as an intellectual virus. While asking if this ideology was the answer to injustice, he provides an excellent definition of what wokeism actually is. Quote, but this is woke philosophy which holds to an antagonistic societal theory, which deconstructs language, which denies the objectivity of moral norms, and which sees reality simply as an incessant struggle between an oppressor and oppressed. The answer? Bishop Barron then went on to make clear that his ideology is not the answer, and he actually encourages fighting against it. Of course not. And perhaps we should be encouraged by the French alarm at the emergence of, quote, wokeism in their midst. From now, the very society that produced the intellectual virus might join the fight against it. Tolkien would not deny the objectivity of moral norms, being a devout Catholic. Now, I don't want to put, this is one thing people love to do is, talk about how, this is what they would have done. I know them. We can't know for sure what Tolkien would say or do because he's not around to prove us right or wrong. But, him being religious doesn't automatically, make the idea of him being 2021 woke impossible. Although most leftists are atheists and love to, they preach to a guy like Fauci as their Jesus because they have no God. But, ultimately, this One Ring account has been completely on the defense the entire time. My guess is Amazon paid them to do this. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Tolkien studied the changing nature of words and languages. As fans of Tolkien and his passion for linguistics, where the meaning of words matter, please help us and Neurotics politely align the discourse. Define woke. Sounds like a deflection and a bad one at that. You also have no intention of aligning the discourse when you block people who disagree with you. I mean, were they just taken over by Amazon? And now they're told to get out here and start, spouting this garbage. How does Amazon's boot taste? I don't know. And one of my favorite things, I want to pull that up real quick because they were telling a black man, this is the best. This is the absolute best. Absolute chef's kiss. Here we go. Oh, they deleted it. They deleted it. No. Well, they were telling a black guy, just some guy, CC, respect and lore is becoming coded language for racist perspectives on a text that never described color. They said that to a black person. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Avoid the Amazon Lord of the Rings at all costs for your own safety. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.